You've been taught to be soft, to open up, and to be vulnerable. They sold you a lie wrapped in sweet slogans and soft promises. You were told to be her protector, her provider, her peace. They told you that women want a good man, a man who listens, who feels, who serves. But here you are, confused, abandoned, and ignored. You're watching the same woman who once clung to your every word now getting excited over the man who doesn't even bother to call her back. And deep down, you feel it. The quiet voice telling you none of what they taught you works. Why? Because it doesn't. Not in the real world. Calvin Reed didn't write women's magic lore for men who still believe in the fairy tale version of desire. He wrote it for the man who's been burned, played, ghosted, and drained. The man who's ready to finally stop pretending and see the game for what it truly is. And here's the brutal truth that men aren't supposed to say out loud. Women don't fall in love with goodness. They fall in love with power, presence, gravity, and command. Not kindness, not compromise, not your feelings. The man she fantasizes about isn't the one who puts her on a pedestal. It's the one who stands tall, unapologetically, as if he doesn't need her applause. You were raised to chase, to prove your worth, but the moment you start chasing, you flip the polarity. You kill the tension. You signal, I am beneath you, so I'll run after you. Reed makes it clear, never chase, because once you do, you're no longer the prize. You're the puppy. And women don't sleep with puppies. They pet them, they praise them, and eventually they get bored and move on to the wolf. The man who doesn't ask for affection, but commands it, simply by existing in his truth. That's the shift. Women aren't attracted to men who beg. They're drawn to men who build. You want her to need you? Then stop needing her. Build a life so magnetic that she wants to orbit it. Not because you gave her flowers, but because you gave her silence, purpose, direction, and unpredictability. You're still trying to win her over with effort. But here's the truth. Women don't fall for effort. They fall for energy. The man who doesn't flinch. The man who can walk away without blinking. That's the man she cannot forget. That's the magic lure. Reed exposes the trap that most men fall into. They believe that love is an even exchange. It's not. It's a power dynamic, a psychological game of who needs less, who controls the rhythm of intimacy, who withholds first. And here's the harsh truth. Women instinctively understand this. They don't need to read a book to figure it out. They were raised on it from a young age. They're taught not to give too much, not to appear too eager, to make a man work, to let him invest more than she does. Why? Because the one who invests more becomes emotionally indebted. It's not evil. It's evolution. It's survival. And yet here you are, texting first, texting often, opening up too soon, laying your soul bare to a woman who's scanning your words for weaknesses. She's not looking for your truth. She's looking for leverage. Not to destroy you, but to decide, can I shape this man? Can I guide him? Can I own his attention? And if she can, you're no longer a mystery. You're a mirror. And women don't crave mirrors. They crave mountains. Women's magic lore teaches that being emotionally open too soon isn't vulnerability. It's volunteering for psychological disarmament. You think you're building closeness, but you're just handing over your manual. Every secret, every insecurity, every unmet need becomes a roadmap she didn't even ask for. And once she has it, the chase is over. Not because she's cruel, but because your mystery died in your desperation. Understand this. Women are wired to respond to uncertainty with desire. Not chaos, but masculine unpredictability. The calm man who reveals little, who leads with presence, not paragraphs. That's the man who gets under her skin. That's the man she dreams about. Not the one who asks, where did I go wrong? But the one who makes her ask, why can't I stop thinking about him?
You think connection is all about confession, that the more you share, the more she'll trust you. But women don't trust words. They trust dominance, direction, detachment. Reed makes it clear, women follow energy, not explanations. And when your energy screams, please choose me, she doesn't feel admiration, she feels repulsion. Not because she's shallow, but because biology punishes need. Need smells like survival. It signals weakness. It says, I need you to validate me. I need you to complete me. I need you to fix what I refuse to fix in myself. And that's not love. It's dependence dressed up as romance. Women, they know the difference. They might not say it out loud, but they feel it deep in their instincts. A man who worships her becomes less of a man because he hands over the very thing she craves most, emotional authority. And when you do that, you become hers, but not in the way you hoped. You become hers to manage, to tolerate, to shape. You give her power, not respect. And here's the brutal irony. When she has that power, she doesn't feel safe. She feels burdened. Because no woman wants to be the man in the relationship. She might act like it. She might pretend she enjoys the control. But over time, she'll resent it. She'll test you. She'll provoke you. Not because she wants to destroy you, but because she's silently begging you to show spine, to fight back, to stand up, to not fold. Calvin Reed says it clearly. The moment a woman knows she can control you emotionally, you've already lost her sexually. Because desire doesn't live in comfort. It lives in polarity, masculine frame, direction. The man who doesn't just react to her moods, he anchors her through them. That's the secret they won't teach you in schools. You think love is about emotional equality, but it's not. Not in attraction. Attraction is primal, and primal doesn't care about fairness. It cares about instinct. Women aren't strategizing this. They're feeling it. But their feelings follow a pattern. She tests to feel your strength. She withdraws to feel your pull. She pushes boundaries not because she wants to destroy them, but because she wants to feel they're real, that they'll hold under pressure, that you'll hold under pressure. You think you're being punished? You're not. You're being measured. Women don't fall for perfect men. They fall for immovable ones. The man who is so grounded in himself, so unbothered by her beauty, so unmoved by her emotions that she feels something rare. Masculine security. Not the fake kind. Not the performative alpha energy. But the kind that says, I am enough with or without you. I want you, but I don't need you. And that is the line that separates men who win and men who chase. The man who wants but doesn't need is the man who chooses from abundance, and women can feel that. Calvin Reed hammers it home. Your abundance is your leverage. When a woman senses that your world is full, with mission, with purpose, with options, her mind attaches not to what you say, but to what you don't, to the mystery she can't unravel, to the life she can't control. She'll start to ask questions. Where does he go? Who does he see? Why isn't he obsessed with me? And in that space, you become the lure, the emotional gravity she can't escape. Not because you're playing games, but because you stopped making her the prize and became the prize yourself. Most men reverse it. They meet a beautiful woman and surrender. They rearrange their lives, cancel their priorities, bend their boundaries, and then cry when she loses interest. But what did you expect? You handed over the keys to your kingdom before she proved she was worthy to enter. Women don't respect access that comes without effort. They respect gates, standards, challenges. Reed doesn't say be rude, he says be rare. Be rare in your silence, be rare in your availability, be rare in your need for emotional hand-holding. Because when you become the man who doesn't need to speak to be heard, you become unforgettable. Women have seen attention, they've seen compliments. What they haven't seen is a man who sees through them, not just at them. That's the man who rattles them. That's the man who redefines their taste. He doesn't follow the rules of attraction. He is the rule. This is what they won't tell you in therapy, in school, or on your social feed, because it shatters the illusion that you've been trained to protect. You are not failing because you're too emotional. You're failing because you handed over your edge. Calvin Reed calls it the erosion of masculine polarity. You've been taught to seek harmony when what creates attraction is friction. Not chaos, but contrast. She is emotion, you are logic. She is fluid, you are fixed. She is the wave, you are the rock. And the moment you try to mirror her softness, you disappear into her frame. She becomes the masculine force by default. And no woman wants to sleep with what feels like her emotional twin. She doesn't want to hold you. She wants to feel held by you. That doesn't come from crying on her shoulder. That comes from knowing who the hell you are without her. Reed rips the bandage off when he says, women don't want your soul, they want your center. They want to feel your access unshaken, especially when they try to shake it. And make no mistake, she will try to shake it. Not because she hates you, because her instincts need to verify you. They need to verify your confidence is real, that your words have roots, that your masculinity can withstand her chaos without folding. Every complaint, every silence, every emotional swing is a test. And you think you're being punished, so you respond with appeasement. But appeasement is the death of desire. She doesn't want a yes man. She wants a hell no man. A man who stands up and says, this is where I draw the line. Not with violence, but with presence, with power. Power that doesn't need to raise its voice to be heard. Women remember those men, not because they were perfect, but because they were clear.
This is the part most men refuse to accept. She doesn't want to lead. She'll pretend she does because modern culture told her she should, but the moment you let her lead, she'll lose attraction. She doesn't want to drive the relationship. She wants to feel your direction, even when she fights it. Because deep down, feminine energy doesn't want control. It wants surrender. But it can't surrender to a man who has no structure, no standard, who bends the moment she pouts. Reed makes it surgical. If you give her the wheel, don't be shocked when she drives away. Not because she wanted to leave, but because you gave her no reason to stay. So what's the solution? What do you do with this truth that feels more like a gut punch than guidance? You stop chasing approval. You stop leading with your wounds. You stop begging for acceptance through affection. You stop seeking in women what you were never taught to find in yourself. You start becoming the kind of man who doesn't need her to make him feel worthy. You build, you sharpen, you expand. You create a gravitational pull so strong, so deeply rooted in mission and movement, that women don't just want to be around you, they want to belong to the world you've built. Not because you demanded it, but because you didn't. You showed them that your validation comes from results, not relationships. From vision, not validation. From clarity, not compliments. This is the uncomfortable truth Reed shoves in your face. Most of your romantic pain isn't from her leaving, it's from you realizing you had nothing outside of her. That your identity was built around being needed, around being wanted. And when she walked, so did your sense of self. That's not her fault. That's yours, because you made her the sun and forgot to become the sky. But here's the beauty in the brutality. Now you know. Now you see. Now you have the choice to stop performing, to stop apologizing, to stop giving your power to women in exchange for scraps of affection that only pacify you long enough to keep you tame. And here's the final truth, the one most men never get to because they're too busy blaming women, too bitter, too broken. Women are not the problem. Your illusion of them is. Because the moment you stop needing her to complete you, you become complete. Not in some spiritual fluff, but in fire-forged reality. When you reclaim your center, when you detach with presence, when you lead without explanation, when you learn to say no without guilt and yes without fear, you become dangerous. Not reckless, not cruel, but undeniably free. So here's your call, brother. Not to hate women, not to manipulate them, but to stop being manipulated by your own fantasies, to stop bleeding your worth into their hands and wondering why you feel empty. Read women's magic lore not like a pickup manual, but like a war map, a blueprint to psychological sovereignty, and then live it. Walk like a man who doesn't chase. Speak like a man who doesn't fear silence. Love like a man who doesn't beg. That's when you stop being forgettable. That's when the game ends. Because the man who doesn't need to be chosen is the man she cannot forget. And that, brother, is how you win. If this video opened your eyes or stirred something within you, consider supporting the channel by checking the link in the description. Your support means everything. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps this message reach those who truly need it. Cheers.